Good evening, Reinhard. Welcome back to our next session. How are you today?
Hello, good evening. I'm very fine.
Good. So let's, before we get started, let's acknowledge we are in June 2021, 10th of June, and still recovering from COVID. It's getting better and better, and most of the countries are coming out, but still some countries still struggling with this dangerous thing going on. Hope we should be out of this, in next 2 to 3 months or maybe sooner. So the people who are in the situation to take vaccine or looking after themselves do that, and take all precautions, every precaution to look after yourself. So once again, I'm very happy to have Reinhard Wagner, and it is a privilege to have such a personality sitting with me talking about some of the project management topics. He is the expert in this area, and he has been doing projects for many years. I don't want to reveal his age, but yeah, he's an expert in project management. So we'll listen today. Today's topic is succeeding in project economy, changing scenario. In the changing scenario, we'll talk about what is project, the importance of project management, projectification, and Reinhard has some good numbers, statistics as well. He will talk about that. So I think it's going to be an interesting topic.
Definitely, yes.
Looking forward to this. So thank you, and we will have listen to you a couple of minutes about your introduction and who you are and why people listen to you, because that's very important. And yeah, over to you.
Thank you again for inviting me and your introduction. And I would say I'm passionate about projects, and that's what people feel also in my country, because projects is something really relevant to the whole society. Individuals, organizations, public administration, governments, they are talking the language of projects more and more. Certainly this pandemic was a kind of a pause because everything slowed down. Still, there were projects going on in construction, also these logistic issues and so on. But now it's again time to renovate, to do new things, to innovate, to do projects. And that is what is driving projectification. That's maybe a strange word, but it's exactly this describing that more and more projects are driving and fueling the economy. And we should discuss that from different angles. I can talk about the numbers because we did a lot of surveys here in my country, in the German economy. And we also did several studies in other countries. So we can compare what is the development, for example, in China or in Scandinavia. And it's also very interesting to compare between different countries, the developments.
Exactly. And project is a very common word nowadays, and everybody, from large corporation to the small corporation, even in schools, colleges, people are running projects. I remember when my son came to me when he was in class 6 or 7, that he's running a project. Okay. And what is project to him? Of course, it's different for the kids, but he was still talking about the scope. He's talking about value we're going to generate. He's talking about the risk and issues. Hey, man, that's not just a simple project management. You're talking in a project management language, what PMI has been talking about. So I think a project, if we can get started kids from the early age with the project management, that will be also advantageous to the economy, because whatever they're going to do, they are doing at the moment is a project anyway. They are living their life is a project. Organizing a marriage is a project, or anything.
There's a positive side to it because project is the common language. It's a household word. So it means it is accepted in a way that people understand that if they want to get something done, if they want to do something new or something complex or something unusual, they use projects and maybe project management to really achieve it. On the other hand, this term is a bit blurring. And analysis or the study of the subject of projects and project management is very difficult, because where do you start? If you go to your school, is that the way to the school a project? If you renovate your garden, is that a project? Or if you build a rocket, is that a project? So it's a bit comparing apples and pears. And that is why it's also very difficult to get grip on how far are we in the process of projectification, right?
I mean, as per PMI, the definition of project is, we are doing unique, temporary, we're building a product or service or result. That is a project. But if you repeat the same thing again, that become operation. And the simplified version of a project.
Yeah, that's clear. And we spoke about the standards. We have ISO standards, we have national standards, and they repeat over and over what a project is. The problem analyzing project economy is you need to have statistical data. And now if you go to your national statistics office and ask for relevant data, you struggle because they don't have these data available. You may get R&D volumes. So, and if you assume that every R&D euro spent is spent for projects, I think that's pretty easy. But now if you go for infrastructure, now you can say, okay, that's also mainly done in projects. But there are many other positions in the statistical data which are not clear whether they are related to projects, and this is why it's so difficult to get grip and real numbers on projectification or the project economy.
Yeah.
So I can speak a bit about how we try to solve that, because in Germany we have quite a long tradition now in trying to find out the extent of projectification, and we mean by that the diffusion of the term project or the utilization of what we believe is a project in economy, right? And we ended up that right now more than 40% of the GDP in Germany is created through projects. And that what we used as an approach is the time spent in projects. Because if you look into labor or time, working time, you can translate that and ask people whether they worked on a project during a certain amount of time. And you see that in the last year, it was growing from 20–30% up to 40%. And so you can calculate and sum up that and multiply that to an economic value in Germany that's larger than 1 billion euro created through projects momentarily. Exactly. And it's still growing, but the pace of the growth is going down at the moment. So the annual growth in the last years was about 3–4%. Now we are seeing it's a bit slowing down the growth, but it's still growing. It's 2–3%, but the growth is slowing down. That's also very interesting.
Is this growth a slowdown of growth because of COVID? We are in the COVID.
No, I'm not speaking about COVID. COVID is it's a different situation.
But yeah,
I think we need to see now this and next year especially.
Yeah.
That we will catch up in that development. So this time frame of COVID is a bit difficult to analyze.
Exactly. It's a lot of things that change.
That's a good question what you had. Why it is slowing down? And that's also a question. We did international comparison, and it depends a bit on the development of the economy itself. If you have a very fast growing economy like in China, they did the same analysis like we did in Germany. And they have more than 50% of their GDP created through projects. Why?
Wow.
because they are still growing. They are, let's say, a growing economy. Germany is, let's say, a more mature. We still grow, but we do not have these huge growth rates like China or maybe India or South Africa or these countries. So certainly a growth means projects, because you have new products, infrastructure, education, and so on, and that fuels projects.
Exactly. I mean, as per my numbers, so it's coming from some statistics numbers. So as of 2027, the expectation is 87.7 million project management roles worldwide. I think it's a huge number. Of course, majority of them are coming from China. China, as you mentioned, is very fast growing, with 46 million jobs. In India itself, 21.7 million. US 8.8, and Japan 3.8 million. So it's a big number. Germany talking about 2 million. I think we're looking for a tsunami or a big wave of project management roles around the world.
And what does that mean? We need those people being educated. We need those people. Everybody in the society needs to understand that they need project management as a key competence. Starting from the kids in school using projects for learning, and then in high school, in the university education, in your professional career, everywhere. I just read an article written by a Danish philosopher. He said, everything is a project now. Everyone is doing every time everything as a project.
Oh yeah, everything is a project. Yes,
everything is a project. The whole life is a project. He said, I have my doubts whether I would translate my life into a project life, but it's definitely dedicated to projects. But it is, yeah, sure. It has a start and an end.
Of course, yes.
It's maybe complex and it's unique, certainly, yes.
Is it temporary?
But do I want to have it as a project? I'm not sure.
No, that's a complex project and divided into multiple small projects.
Yeah, maybe then it's a program, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Actually, if you go back to PMI term, it's a combination of multiple projects going on in your life, your education, your marriage, your kids, and growing them, and you're getting your certificate itself, getting into new job, and then all projects. So the more if we can use, if you know that everything is a project, then knowing what project management is, how can I do even the life? If you think that way, can I live my life as a project? And what are the things I should know? Should I have a vision for myself? And I think that's a good thing. As a project, you have a vision for future, how it's going to look like. Similarly, if we take this, my life, what I want to see myself in 5 years, 10 years, okay? Then you drive towards that by having right mission, your strategies, roadmap, and your objectives, and achieve them bit by bit by small and larger projects. And before you realize, you can achieve your vision. So yeah, I think people should use some of the project management terms, even if you're never done project, learn about project and do your work as a project, and live your life as a project.
Yeah, I still need to remember Daniel Defoe. In 1697, he wrote that essay upon projects. So in the 17th century. And he was struggling a bit. He called those people the projectors. And they were doing projects, and they were struggling with that role because it was, in one way, it was overwhelming because nobody liked to do it because the challenging work and the complex work and so on. They say, okay, I can have a much easier life. But taking that challenge, trying to muddle through or manage to overcome it and tackle that challenge, I think that gives you a lot of satisfaction. And you learn a lot through that. You grow a lot as a personality. And this is why I believe seeing your life more in a projectified way is so important, because you grow with all the projects you do. And nothing is too difficult to solve by using project management methodology or technology or the competences that you earn. And I think that's a powerful message we need, especially in this time of the pandemic and climate crisis and all the other challenges that we have, right?
Yeah. And just like in a project, we need to identify the scope, and we have a risk identified and what can go wrong if you know, on this path, and what is the mitigation, so, and issues, if the issues are coming, how you're going to deal with them, how to escalate. You know, I mean, I see my whole life as a project, you know, believe it or not. Whenever it's okay, stakeholder engagement, you know, working with your wife or husband, or, you know, the friends, and that's engagement. How you know, build a rapport with them so that they are part of your project. But they are very key stakeholders.
But so then you are really lucky that you are able to manage your wife in your project. I'm struggling because if I even tell my wife that she is managed by myself as the project manager, she would immediately refuse, say, no, I'm managing you, and not the other way around.
No, I think you're taking a wrong word. It's not stakeholder management, stakeholder engagement. That's the new term from PMI. So I think it's in all the standards. They're talking, we cannot manage many of the stakeholders, including we mentioned wife and the CEO, director. They are the senior managers, senior people. You cannot manage them, but what you can manage is their expectation, their requirements, their concerns. That's what you can manage. Otherwise, you engage with them. You learn what they're expecting from you, and accordingly, fulfill those expectations.
But coming back to our topic, project economy. So it's not only for the individuals that they need to learn how to deal with projects, but it's also especially for the organization that do a lot of projects. We call them maybe project-based organizations or project-oriented organization. And we see even more organizations that do 100% of what they do in projects. The big consultancy, for example, in construction, we see 80 to 90% of their turnover is done through projects. I work quite a lot with Siemens. They claim that 50% of their turnover is done through projects. So that's massive. And they need PMOs, they need standards, they need hundreds, even thousands of project managers in their context. So they need to arrange strategy, structure, culture, everything needs to be towards projects, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So for the companies and organization, more they can, adopt the standard way of doing project management. The results will be much better using some standard, like such as PMBOK from PMI and some other standard books. So they have already done good job for you. So you use those standard methodologies and see if you can do your job even better. The one thing you can do, as an organization, you analyze where do you stand with respect to project management maturity. Whether you are a cowboy style project management, or you are very mature organization with you have all the standard, all the process to be followed, and all the tips and hints and the templates all defined. So the project, anybody can come and do the project for you. So one of the things they can see is standardization of the project management practices in the organization.
But Dharam, I'm a bit critical to that. Now I bring another argument, because if you see startup organizations, very young organizations, software companies, they are getting rid of standards and these rigid process models, because they need to be very flexible. They need to be adaptable to the changes from the environment. So less standards for them is better. More improvisation, more, let's say, being creative, more co-creation, collaboration. I think that's more important. So this is why, and we spoke about that, agile approaches is so increasing, especially in that area of very innovative companies or the startup accelerators. And I think that's a bit also going on that we need to see in this growth of projectification of our economy, that we have two areas. One is more this agile world of flexibility and less process-driven way of doing. And then we have the other way, which is more, let's say, the routine, the process orientation, maturities, etc. And they both exist, they coexist, and need to be also synchronized in a way to fuel the economy.
Yeah, so when I said having standard or process and streamline everything, doesn't mean that we just stick to the waterfall methodology. Even for the agile, maturity in agile organization is also important. We still have to have some processes, and we still have to have some daily scrums and some ceremonies as prescribed by the agile. So one way is, as a startup, you can get guys, let's get talk today, and after we're talking, then they're very, very agile, and they take decision on the fly. But as we get mature, we need to make sure we have right logs available, and so that if something goes wrong, we can go back to the logs to see what happened and who made the decision and what decisions were made. At the same time, logs are important, the documentation is important, but agility is also important. So yeah, so maturity, standardization, processes, all important, but at the same time, we need to think about how can I still deliver the work, having all the standard and getting the maximum result for the organization.
The latest survey I did in the German economy or in society was early this year. And also a very interesting finding is that we have a big problem here in Germany. Because I think the industry, the economy is well advanced in applying project management. But the sector that is well behind, that is public administration. So, and that's a big problem. And we see that also during the pandemic, that, for example, this BioNTech, this small startup organization, developed what you now call the Pfizer vaccine. It was developed by a very small startup in Germany. But the logistics of delivering it to the people by the public administration, that was frustrating, very low and slow. And that is because the public administration is too bureaucratic, not really using or used to agile project management or stuff. And there's where we need also to show that economy is not too fast in the projectification, and the public administration is falling behind, right? And that's in the society very important to balance both sectors.
So, what example you gave about the Pfizer, the last year, many organizations, biotech companies, pharmaceutical companies, they start working on a product which need to be ready in fastest possible time, approved and to be released to the public as soon as possible. Was that as part of project? I'm sure that was a project, but they were not. Were they following every steps of the project management defined in PMBOK? Probably not. The aim is to get the result so that lives can be saved. So it is sometimes we have to think about to get the result. We have processes. Should we follow the process? We probably don't worry about them. At the same time, get the results. The Pfizer and the many other organizations, they build the vaccine, they probably followed the same. And yes, mentioned the release of the vaccine to the general public was a nightmare, but I think they have recovered from it, and the vaccines are now available in every part of most part of the United States at least. And so that I think that the project developing and distribution is success so far, and whether the vaccine itself is successful or not, that's a different story.
But the point I was making is that we have different speed of development in industry, which is more flexible and more adopting project management as a working style. But in the public sector, I think they are lagging behind. And we, PMI or IPMA or the National Project Management Association should focus much more helping the public administration to catch up. Because now, if you look ahead, we have the big change of energy systems here in Germany. We have climate crisis. We have many challenges in society, and public administration is at the forefront of dealing with them. So I think it's very important that we do not have this gap of project management application in these sectors, so that we have an even or balanced way of working.
Yeah, I mean, so that one way to come out of that is to have the right consultant to work with the organization and see what training and standard they should, the team should be going through, whether PMP certification or program manager certification, portfolio manager certification, or any other certification, which can help the organization to come to the speed faster. When you are hiring is certified project manager, program manager, portfolio manager, they have gone through certain learning process. They have delivered the project program in a more structured environment. The chances of your project program becoming more successful will be much higher. So that's one way to get up to the speed faster. So that's my thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't believe that certificates are at the forefront of my thinking, because certainly at a certain point in time, they will go or want to go for a certificate. But the way of working in public administration in the past was a very different one. You know, bureaucratic processes, more on routine, everything is secure, you work towards specification. And that's a very different way of working like we do in projects. Because as you said, we are result-oriented, we are stakeholder-oriented, we are team or collaboration-oriented. And that's a different working style than in public administration. And slowly I see, at least in my country, that they understand that that is the future way of working. And so they are interested to learn more, but I still a way to go for them to apply project management, and then at a certain stage also get for a certification for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think they are coming to the speed, but yeah, they are a little slower than normal in the private sector, corporate level. So it's all more about education as well, how they see the benefit having project management is adding value to corporate and other organizations, and then they start adopting. And many organizations start seeing this project and project management as a way forward. Yes, lot to be done in this area, which is continuous effort, continuous improvement as part of the project management. Whether PMI is taking lead or IPMA is taking lead, or all of them has to work together. Doesn't matter. It's all about the knowledge and the learning the standard way or better way of doing things.
I think independent, whether it's PMI, IPMA, APM, or what the organization is, we all strive to help society to be successful.
Exactly.
And the challenges they have, that are the individuals, that are the organization, that are governments. And interestingly also, if we look into our German society, 2015, we had this big wave of migrants coming into Germany. More than a million people from Syria and so on. And very interestingly, the German Project Management Association tried to help to organize, because the people need to have shelter, they need to have food, they spoke a different language, different religion, etc., etc. And the civic society was not able to organize that. And then project manager just helped them to organize that, and that was really very helpful. Or when we had floods here in Germany, rivers like the Elbe River were coming up and a lot of damages. Then the military, together with some project management experts, helped the civic society to overcome this challenge. So everything that is a more complex thing also helps to be tackled with project management. And that's the good news, I believe, that we need to spread as PMI, as IPMA, or whatever, as personals.
Great. Yeah, so, projectification is becoming now out of the day. All the organizations, they should be looking towards that. How can I do most of the work as project management? And whether it's a new technology or a startups or a government organization or the corporate, they should look into the improvement of the project management day in, day out, and adopt the right strategy, right standard for themselves to do the job better. So that's my view, and I think that resonate with whatever we have been talking so far. Anything else you'd like to add?
I think there's a lot to say, but I believe in the positive mission of what we do. We can add value to society, to the people, to overcome the challenges, the many challenges that we have. And now, after this pandemic or coming out of the pandemic, we need all the project management skills we have to refuel our economy, to restore our wealth that we have in our society, and to restart. And I think that's a positive mission that we can spread.
Great stuff. So thank you, Reinhard. It was lovely talking with you. We will talk more about the same topic or in more detail as we go further. So people watching, following our this podcast, please let us know how you feel, what you feel, and what else you want to listen from us. And the next time, we'll talk more about this or other topics. And feel free to reach out to me and to Reinhard, and for any assistance with project program, portfolio management, certification, trainings, whatever. And
it would also be good to hear stories if they have to tell a story. I think that would be very nice, so that we can resonate on that story.
Exactly. So you can write your comments or feedback on LinkedIn or YouTube, wherever you're watching. So let us listen to you as well, your way of doing project management. And so if we can help you anywhere, anyhow, so we are on LinkedIn, we are available by phone or email. Reach out to us, and love to help you out. Thank you very much, and talk to you again very soon.
Thank you, Dharam. Happy projects.
Happy projects. Thank you. Bye.